If you're a SaaS founder, this is hands down going to be the most valuable video you are ever going to watch on scaling your SaaS from absolutely nothing to $10 million ARR. And this video includes everything from coming up with an idea to building your MVP to hiring devs and scaling your software to $10 million annually. And I'm not holding anything back because I want this to be the most valuable free resource available on the internet. And this video has something for everyone. So whether you are just starting out and have no clue what you are doing, if you are stuck at $100K a month, or if you are well on your way to scaling to $10 million a year, there is something for everyone. Each step of the way is mapped with direct and clear instructions that you can take and implement right away. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So who am I and why should you even listen to me? Well, my name is Dimitri and I've been in the online marketing space for the past 5 years, specifically in SaaS for the past 3. And over that time, we've been able to generate some pretty good results for our clients and for ourselves, amassing millions of views and millions of dollars in annual revenue. And I've also been invited to be one of the educators for NAS.io, every month sharing what I know to tens of thousands of people. But the way I got here was pretty interesting. My journey started with a Discord server called Business Cord. This was a community started by one of my friends that I was asked to help build. It inevitably became the biggest Discord business server, amassing over 122,000 members and generating $1.2 million in the first 2 years before it was sold. Marketing really intrigued me, so from there I went and picked up a camera and got head deep into marketing. I worked with a whole array of clients, everything from e-com to local businesses, cars, creators, apps, and SaaS, doing paid ads, SEO, content creation, and UGC. I spent 2 years just trying things out, learning what works in the market and what doesn't, and what actually brings people customers. And as I started working with apps and SaaS companies, I noticed that SaaS was becoming the dropshipping of 2016, but they were lacking something crucial. They were lacking the marketing skills that I had. Although SaaS was valuable and this transition to tech and AI was happening in real time, they didn't know how to market their stuff. So I became a UGC creator for a few software companies, now totaling over 7, and I realized what these companies were doing wrong. They could create content, but they didn't have systems to scale that content. Because of that, their funnels weren't working and they weren't getting as many users as they could be. And that's what I sought out to fix by launching Exceed Media. Exceed is my company where we now exclusively work with SaaS founders and apps, helping them scale from $50,000 to $100,000 a month to well over 10 million plus annually. And we're even launching our own SaaS that helps our clients not only acquire users, but retain them. And this course is packed with so much value. I spent the past 18 days working tirelessly building this whole thing out, and it has everything I've learned along the way and everything we are actively doing to scale businesses to 8 figures. So without further ado, let's jump into the first module, which is Ground Zero, understanding yourself to help you come up with your business idea. So as a brand new founder, you need to understand that your competitive advantage does not come from your idea alone. Instead, it's who you are, what you know, who you know, and what you have access to faster than others. Now, to get a clearer understanding about what your unfair advantage is for yourself, we're going to break this down into 7 different topics. Each of these, you're going to want to grab a notebook and write down specifically what your answer is. This is going to help you later down the line. So let's get into it. The first one is unfair advantage. Figure out what you have that others don't immediately. Things that you can exploit from day one. What can you leverage without needing other people's permission? This can be things like distribution, your audience, your connections, email list, previous business ventures, social media, direct access to buyers, people who already trust you in your network, your ability to ship content or ads at scale and fast. Maybe you have a background in media that you can leverage. Your expertise in the industry you've worked in. Maybe you've had personal problems that you've solved that other people don't know how to. Workflows that you understand in the industry that outsiders might not. Your capital. Maybe you've built up a huge savings account specifically to start this business. Maybe you have the ability to hire experts early, willingness to spend on speed and access, or access to funding. Maybe it's your decision-making speed. You're able to make big decisions quickly, your ability to ship and iterate fast, or your comfort with imperfect execution. Keep in mind that the fastest growing SaaS businesses started with at least one unfair advantage. So create a list of unfair advantages that you have that you can easily leverage. Once you've done that, we can move on to number 2. Your risk tolerance. How much uncertainty can you realistically handle? What is the absolute max you'd go to? What is the risk that would ruin you? And the absolute extreme worst case scenario that you want to avoid. This is going to help you decide on bootstrapping or VC. If you're bootstrapping, you want to focus on revenue early. You have a narrower ICP, you can launch with fewer features, more pragmatism, but generally you have slower growth, but that comes with more control. Unless you have a big savings or outside income, it might be a bit of a slower process. Then if you choose to go the VC route, you are going to be obsessed with market size. You're going to be going for growth over profitability, hiring before certainty, and potentially you're going to be facing board pressure from the higher ups. You are not necessarily the one in control here, the VCs are. This will speed up your progress, but again, you are not going to be building this for yourself necessarily. Lastly, there is a bit of a middle ground. You can look into loans and credit cards, crowdfunding, percentage-based partnerships, and staying your own boss by not giving up equity. The only problem is you are likely to take on more risk this way. Loans, credit cards, maxing them out is not always the safest option. Whereas if you had VC money, if everything completely flopped, at the end of the day, you are not going to be in trouble. And this is a very crucial decision because it shapes your market selection, sets your pricing, team size, product complexity, access to resources and people, and scaling speed and long-term value. But you can obviously start bootstrapped and get funding later, or vice versa, start with VC and buy your shareholders out later on. It all matters on where your heart is and where your vision is. If you want to be the one in control, of course, go bootstrapped. If you want speed and you're just trying to go and go and go, VC might be the way to go. But understand how much risk you are actually willing to put on yourself and where that end is. After you've decided that, you can move on to number 3, time horizon and personal goals. Why are you actually doing this? What does winning look like to you? You want to define the following: your desired outcome, whether it's a $5 to $10 million exit or just having a lifestyle business that funds your travel and fun, your time patience, how long you are willing to wait to achieve this goal, and your lifestyle constraints. Maybe you're working a full-time job at the same time. Maybe you don't have a lot of savings saved up. Maybe your stress tolerance is literally at 0. Most founders quit because their business conflicts with their lifestyle, not because the business sucks. So make sure before even deciding what sort of SaaS to get into, what sort of niche to serve, this niche fits what you want out of life. Write a personal success definition of what you want your life to look like with this business. Once you have that done, you can move on to number 4, market exposure. Where do you already speak the language? Which markets would need years or licenses or extreme lengths to get into? You obviously want to avoid those. If you have any past jobs or clients or industries you've sold to, markets you consume content from, buyers you already know personally, or anything that you have great knowledge in already, these are going to be incredible things that you can leverage for this business. Again, like I mentioned before, if there's a specific problem that you face that you found a unique solution to that no one else knows, that would be a perfect thing to leverage. So create a short list of 2 to 3 specific markets that you already have context and access to. Then we move on to number 5, your anti-goals. Here, you want to define what sort of business you don't want under any circumstances. What trade-offs are completely unacceptable? For example, this can be things like no enterprise sales, no 24/7 support, no heavy compliance, no consumer virality dependency, or no treating this like a full-time job. Knowing what you don't want will avoid accidental misery. Of course, you want this to be a fun project. You want this to be your life purpose, your passion. So create a non-negotiable "we will not be doing this" list so that you can avoid this misery. The last thing you want is, again, your business not matching up to your lifestyle and the things you value in life and you quitting prematurely. Then we move on to number 6, success definition. This is building off of what we already talked about here, your desired outcome, but getting a lot more specific with it. So how do you want this business to eventually reward you, right? Is it going to be exit driven, where you want a big payout at the end? You don't necessarily care about what's going on right now. You just care about the metrics more than the profit. You can wait a few years, maybe months if you're scaling quickly, but you'll get a bigger payout at the end. Or is it more cash flow driven? Are you looking for it to just fund a lifestyle? You're profitable early and you have good margins, or are you looking for complete domination? You're looking for power and control to build a platform-driven business, long-term ecosystems, slower early returns, but bigger long-term payout. And you're looking for power and control. This all goes into what you're willing to put up with and how long you're willing to put up with it. This matters because it literally determines what metrics you focus on from the get-go. You need to be clear on what your end goal is, and obviously it can change later on, but you need a clear focus to start. So write a statement that literally says, this company exists to reward me with a $10 million exit in 3 years. Or this company exists solely to fund my travel lifestyle. Whatever it may be, create this statement and then move on to the last and final step, your skill gap. What do you personally do well and bring to the company? Here, you want to compare all the things that you do really well, your strengths, and all the things that you could hire out, your weaknesses. Do not hire your friends just because they're your friends. Make sure that your partners, your employees, your contractors, any hires directly contrast your abilities. The worst thing that could happen is you hire someone identical to you, and then you both know how to do sales really well, but you can't build a good product. And then your whole business falls apart. Make sure whatever you do poorly, that they do well. And whatever they do poorly, you do well. By doing this, you're going to be able to truly get to understand yourself, and in the following modules, build a business that serves you. All right, now that you know that, we can move on to module 2, finding a problem. Now, with all the information we've already gathered, our next task is to find a problem. Now, you have to understand that you don't look for ideas, okay? Great SaaS companies don't convince someone that they have a problem. They name that problem that people are already struggling from. This way, people feel called out and they themselves come searching for you. So look for a pain that costs time, money, or reputation. So the first thing you're going to do is define your ICP. Who exactly is hurting? And don't be vague here. You want to name their role, not industry, like founder, mother, trucker, farmer, their context, like their company size, revenue range, their maturity, their environment. Maybe it's different tools that they're using, their reporting structure, or incentives that they respond to. You want to ask yourself key questions like, who feels this pain personally? Who gets blamed if something goes wrong? And who is in control of the budget? What you're going to want to do is create a visual demographic and psychographic for your ICP. So literally drawing out a little stick figure, giving them a name, and literally writing out who exactly this person is. By visualizing this, you're going to help yourself later down the line. You're going to refer everything back to this visual that you've created. Let's just say his name is John and he's a founder of a company making $1 million a year. You're going to refer everything back to John and be like, okay, would John respond to this sort of marketing? Would this be something that John buys? Avoid being too vague though. Don't just say this is for creators or SMBs or anyone who does XYZ. We fell into that trap before, and this is not the way to go. Later down the line, of course, you'd want to expand, but to start off with, you want to serve one specific avatar. What sort of creators? TikTokers, YouTubers? Are they making financial content? Are they making video game content? What are they doing? Don't say anyone who. Get very, very specific. And this might take a second, then you might have an insanely long list of demographics and psychographics on each side of your stick character, but that is so important. So make sure to get it done. But following this, once you know who it is, you want to create their schedule. So we're going to dive deeper into their daily life. What does their day-to-day actually look like? Where does the friction show up? And literally, we're going to create a schedule for them. Okay, we're going to run through one day of their life, maybe even 1 week of their life, put it in a Google Calendar or just, on your notes, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and write out, when do they wake up? What do they do in the morning? What do they eat for breakfast? What do they then do up until lunch? What do they eat for lunch? What do they do after lunch? What does their work look like? Right? What we're looking to identify here is any manual steps, any context switching, delays, or dependencies on others. The reason we're doing this is because if the pain isn't tied to a frequent workflow, if we can't envision them using this software every single day of their lives, or at least, a good chunk of their week, their usage is going to be weak. The more they can implement this into their day-to-day life, the better, and for the longer they will stay. Going back, we're looking to also identify existing spending. So what are they already paying for? What tools are partially solving their problem? What internal resources are being burned, and what hidden costs exist? Going back to the calendar, right? If we can't find anywhere in here that they're spending to make their life easier, it might not necessarily be worth it to create something. Because people don't just pay for better software. Instead, they pay to stop wasting money elsewhere. Proof of this is all the all-in-one platforms that exist. This is one of my friends who owns a all-in-one entrepreneur software, creating an operating system for independence. She has all this stuff integrated into one platform, all your business in one hub, so it's easier to sell more and grow faster. And the reason this works is because if you go up to someone and tell them, if you spend $10 on me, I will give you $100 back, either in value or literally. No shit, they're gonna do it. That's an insane deal. Would you not trade me $10 if I gave you $100 back? That's a no-brainer. So that's our whole goal with this. Identify where they're already spending and potentially reroute that money to us. But not all pain is equal. We want to break down frequency versus severity. Is this pain that they are facing that you have now located in their calendar happening daily, weekly, monthly, once a year? How severe is it? Is it just annoying and it's like a bit of an inconvenience? Or is it stressful? Is it career threatening? They will lose their job if this pain continues to happen or if this mistake is made. Make sure to avoid rare catastrophes or infrequent on-edge cases or would-be nice improvements. There needs to be a drastic change. What is the trigger event that causes this pain? So if we look back in the calendar, what mistake would have to happen for this pain to occur? For example, let's say they will literally lose their job if they miss 1 week of reporting to their higher ups, or if the data is incorrect or anything like that. That's a very severe pain, and they have to report every single week. That means they need tools in place that show accurate data, help with reporting, and reminding them to actually create the reports. That is a very frequent and a very severe pain. High frequency plus high severity equals a $10 million SaaS. And a pain is real when the failure, when that trigger event happens, has real consequences, like I mentioned. They might literally get fired. So find the downstream impact of that trigger event. Is it going to be revenue loss, customer churn, emotional pain? Find how long the damage is going to last and how easy or hard it will be to fix it. If nothing breaks, then the urgency is fake. But if you help avoid a real problem, the urgency is real and people are willing to pay for that. Also look for active workarounds. You can scroll through Reddit or Twitter, see if there's anything people are actively trying to do to achieve the same results. For example, are they using spreadsheets or Notion or Zapier? Is it efficient? Is it a actually valid method of achieving this result or not? Are they really struggling? If you can see people are actively trying to hold things together but are struggling, there's a real issue there to be solved. This is where we would come in. There's a real pain. People are willing to spend on that pain. They are actively trying to fix that pain, but there's nothing optimal that exists on the market. That is where you would build your SaaS. So final output. You want to create a statement that looks like this. Specific role at specific stage in life, struggles with specific pain, which causes measurable consequence, especially when trigger event occurs. With this, you are now going to have a real pain that we can move forward to and now solve. Awesome. Now that you understand that, we can move on to validating that problem. Okay, now this is a very important, very hands-on module because we're actually going to be going in and now validating the ideas you have come up with. And we do this through a mix of using both AI and a whole lot of manual data gathering. But this is very important if you want to be able to pick a serious $10 million SaaS idea. So let's jump into it. First thing to note is validation does not automatically prove interest. Validation is someone just agreeing to give up money or time right now. So you might ask someone, would this make your life easier? And as a snap decision, they tell you, yeah, this would make my life a lot easier. And yeah, I'd probably in this very moment, if you gave it to me, I'd probably sign up for it. I'd probably use this idea. But that does not prove it. At this moment, we are just gathering information. When you actually have a solid MVP later down the line, I'm going to share exactly how to price it and different strategies to get people to sign up early on. But for now, we're just gauging a little bit of initial validation, initial interest. What we are looking to answer is 3 questions. Is this a problem worth fixing? Is there serious demand for this fix? Is it realistic to fix? Like we mentioned earlier, do you need different licenses or other things? Is it a hard industry to get into? Is it something you already know lots about? And 3, does the ICP have the money to pay for this? Now, generally, you're going to be building a smaller B2C app priced around $20, $30, $50, $90, $100, $120 a month. But some people in bigger industries, like for lawyers or for business owners, might want to build something a lot more serious. We're working with a client currently who has built a whole backend system for universities to run all their courses, project submissions for students, literally the entire backend system, very similar to Brightspace, if you know what that is. Someone like that would actually have to look into, can their ICP literally afford to pay for this? If not, but you still have knowledge in the industry, you might want to work on a different idea that serves the same niche. But nevertheless, let's get into the actual strategies. The first strategy is using ChatGPT, but specifically using ChatGPT's deep research feature or agent mode. The prompt we're going to be using is written right here. Do a dive deep into Reddit, Twitter, and different online forums to find what people are saying about problem, topic, or your SaaS. Find their biggest struggles, whether or not they're trying to find different workarounds, what works and what doesn't, and how frustrating of an issue it is. Summarize the information with direct links or quotes to what people are saying. So let me copy this and let's go into ChatGPT. Okay, we're now in ChatGPT. So what you're going to want to do is press the plus on the left-hand side and either press deep research or agent mode. I personally like using agent mode. That's just what I think does better on Twitter and Reddit forums, but you can use either or. Paste in the prompt and change problem or topic. Let's say we're creating a YouTube thumbnail generation AI. So I'm going to type, find out what people are saying about the struggles of creating thumbnails for YouTube videos and whether or not they are trying different AIs for it. What are the upsides and downsides of those AIs? And paste. Cool. Now this is going to take a while. The shortest I've had it go was between 12 to 20 minutes-ish, and the absolute longest, it went on for 63 minutes just gathering information about different things. So I'm going to let this run in the background and later cut to when it finishes. Okay, cool. So just finished creating the breakdown, and here is what it tells us. So it's found through Reddit, Twitter, and different online forums that YouTube warns that a thumbnail and title are the first thing that a viewer sees. It gives us all the background and why it's important. Main challenges creators are reporting are the lack of design skills and software limitations, time pressure and volume of videos, ethical concerns and viewer backlash. I guess viewers don't like AI thumbnails as much, and overpromising and clickbait designs, which I have actually seen. A lot of softwares claim they can make these insane thumbnails, but then what they actually generate is absolute shit. It shows how creators are currently using AI and their feedback. And it summarized everything into a nice table. Different workarounds and things that people are trying. Audience response and frustration level. Apparently, viewer fatigue and distrust is a huge thing. People don't like AI thumbnails at all. So in conclusion, it says that creating effective YouTube thumbnails is currently a really big challenge due to the limitation of design skills, time pressure, and high stakes of CTR. So if you're able to create a thumbnail generator that is better than what's on the market right now, on the level of designers, you are going to make a lot of money. After you've gathered some information here, you want to move on to manual gathering methods. This is going to look like contacting people throughout your network, asking how useful of an idea this would be, especially if you already have a network in this specific industry. Maybe you worked there before, you faced this personal problem, you know other people who would relate to facing the same exact problem. Create a waitlist landing page and run onboarding calls to get proof of interest. If people are willing to join a waitlist, they are willing to potentially give up money and time for your software. Do outreach, set up calls, and dive deep. Ask lots of questions. Figure out the urgency of the problem, current solutions, and any competition in the space. You want to find out whether or not there's a valid market size for this idea. To do this, you can also use external tools such as these. For SEMrush, you can sign up for a free 7-day trial and you get 5 free searches included in that, which is more than enough to validate your idea. You're going to find things like costs of keywords for Google Ads, competition in the space, and so much more information that'll really tell you whether or not there is a market for this sort of business. Something else you can do is go on Google Trends and search for a specific keyword or relating sentence topic to your SaaS idea. So something we're actively working on is building a SaaS churn reduction tool. So I'm going to search SaaS churn reduction. Now, because I'm based in Canada, obviously it switches to Canada automatically, but we want to take over the American market first. So I'm just going to search for that. Now, SaaS churn reduction itself looks like this sentence is not getting enough data, but maybe if we just look at churn, there we go, a lot more data. So we can see the word churn is now getting a lot more interest. 0 on the left-hand side means there's no searches for it, and 100 means there's a lot. Anything 50% and over is really, really good, whereas up until 50 is solid. But we can see there's consistent interest. Although it's not hitting 50, there's consistent interest in this topic. We can see where exactly most people are interested in this, and we can see whether or not it's what we're looking for. So we can see there's Churn Creek Chiropractic. That would not relate to us at all. But all the other results, other than the healthcare ones, are what is customer churn? Customer churn, define churn. We can go back to the top and search for more related terms like SaaS, software as a service, our ICP. There's a lot of people interested in starting a SaaS business. Later on, this is also a great idea on creating content. For example, what's the difference between a IaaS, PaaS, and a SaaS, the business that we're in? We can search for more struggles or other keywords and topics that will then be able to help us understand whether or not people are actively looking for solutions for the problem that we are trying to solve. You can also run a test Facebook ad. So what you're going to do is set aside a $100 budget and run an ad for 5 to 7 days. So it comes out to be about $15 to $20 a day. All you're going to do is create one simple ad. This can be a static ad or an ad following the guidelines I'm going to show later in this course, and lead people to a landing page that signs them up for a waitlist. What you're going to do is just set aside these $100 purely to gather data. If you get clicks but no signups, you know there's interest. If you get signups You know that there is heavy interest. This is probably the best way if you have a budget to test your idea. And all you have to do is spend $100 per idea. If you have 5 ideas, $500, and you'll have more than enough data. 3 ideas, $300, more than enough data. This is one of the best ways to gather a large amount of data fast. But the moral of the story is you're asking lots of questions and gathering lots of data. And using the information we gather here, in the next module, we will be deciding on which SaaS would be the best for you to start. Cool. Now that you've validated your problem, we can actually move on to defining the sort of solution you are going to sell. This is going to be the core offer of your SaaS and what everything is going to be built on. Okay, buckle in for this one because this is another information heavy module, but this is the last module before we get into actually building out your MVP. And in this module, we're taking all the information we have gathered before about your ICP, about all your different ideas, and picking one specific problem and one specific solution to actually sell as your SaaS. So let's jump into it. A major topic I want to point out that we're going to be following throughout basically the entire series is the rule of one. The rule of one states that to make your first $1 million, you only need one ICP, one problem, one action, and one solution. If you can focus on just one of those, that will make you your first $1 million. So by the end of this module, you will have one idea that you will turn into a sellable promise. This idea is going to deliver a clear outcome fast, within seconds, be easy to understand without calls, after automations, and I'll get into this a little bit more later on, and must create a reason to come back consistently. Fit it into that calendar, into that schedule that we created for your ICP in the module before. So let's get into it. Choose one idea. By now, you should have a list of 3 to 5 ideas serving your ICP. Each of those ideas, you're going to score on the following from 1 to 10. Frequency, how often does the user feel this pain? Daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. Speed to value, can you deliver a satisfying result under 5 minutes, under 1 minute, or even better, under 30 seconds? And willingness to pay, would someone actually pay for this without you having to explain it? Any idea that averages under a 7 should be discarded or moved to later. But do keep in mind that you might be able to merge some of these ideas together. The only thing is we want to avoid merging too much because again, your first $1 million will come from one solid idea. We don't want to become an all-in-one platform right off the bat. We want to solve one unique issue that one unique type of person is facing to make it feel like this solution is targeted to them specifically, making it so much easier to make your first $1 million. So whichever idea scores the highest and that you believe has the highest potential, you know most about, you've faced this pain in the past, you know how to get over it, take it and define your promise. Defining your promise is basically turning your idea into a single statement. The statement being the user gets desired outcome in time frame without pain. So define your idea like this. A few examples are turn any long video into 10 viral clips in 60 seconds with no manual editing. Turn your photo into a high CTR YouTube thumbnail with 1 click. Get personalized viral ad ideas every morning without manual scrolling. When you're making these statements though, you want to avoid saying AI powered because no one likes obvious ChatGPT wrappers. Avoid all-in-ones to start off with, because again, we're trying to start with one unique idea. Avoid saying, this is the best platform for XYZ, because in all honesty, you don't know that yet. There's no proof of it being the best yet. So make this statement and move on to the next step, which is creating your core value loop. You see, your SaaS shouldn't be just a feature or feature focused where the user presses a button and gets an output. That's basically it. We don't want it to be that. Instead, we want it to be a repeating loop, something that keeps users coming back. So this would look like the user does an input, your SaaS does its magic on the back end, gives an output, and gives a return trigger. This is what makes a $10 million SaaS stand out from other softwares that never make it. But let me break each of these down for you. What is an input? An input is what the user does or gives you. It's one specific action that the user takes. Maybe it's press a button, paste a link, type in a sentence, whatever it may be. The magic, that's just the back-end transformation, what your software actually does. It takes the input and whatever calculation, whatever output it gives back to the user. The output is a tangible win that the user gets, something they can tangibly see, verify, and they're like, yes, this has made my life better, my life easier, whatever it may be. And a return trigger is a reason for them to come back again to do another input, whether it's the same day, whether it's again that week, whatever it may be, a return trigger is necessary. Some rules you want to follow are inputs must be one simple action, like pasting a link, uploading a file, or pressing a button. Your outputs must be shareable or actionable, and your return trigger must happen automatically, triggering a built-in automation, streak, or new result. It cannot be outside of the app, like an email or an SMS. It must happen within the app right then and there, recommending or suggesting them to come back and make another input. So write out a list. To achieve this promise, what would your user have to do? Would they have to paste in a photo of themselves and the AI then adds text on the screen to generate a thumbnail, gives them this fully generated, beautiful, high click-through rate thumbnail, and then recommends them to create another one for another YouTube video? What is it specifically for your SaaS? And once you figured that out, you can move on to one of the most important parts of this core value loop, which is figuring out your aha moment. Your aha moment is defined as the first moment your user sees that the app works. It's their first initial win. This result must happen under 120 seconds of the user signing up, and ideally under 60 seconds. We even sometimes try to push for a lot of B2C apps under 30 seconds. If your user cannot figure out how your app actually makes their life better, what sort of value, tangible value it gives them, they're not going to stick around. So what is this aha moment for you? This should be a tangible result, a generated form that's good to use. They get a plan that they can execute on immediately, a before and after that really feels like progress to them. Something that they can tangibly see and go, okay, this app actually works. This actually benefited me in one way or another. Now, your app may help with longer term things, such as cutting ad spend in half while still getting the same results for the user. But you need an immediate measurable win if you seriously want your users to stick around and for you to have the potential of actually hitting $10 million ARR. So you may have heard of Hyros. Hyros is an app that business owners and marketers are able to see an accurate cross-channel revenue dashboard that reveals where their ad spend actually led to. Hyros promises that exact same thing about cutting ad spend and still promising to get the same results, but they're not able to do that right away. Instead, their immediate win is showing the user all these channels that they are missing out on or spending too much on. It hasn't saved them any money just yet, but it showed them a real result. And then the user thinks, oh, well, now I actually know what ads and channels are the most profitable and where I'm burning money. They haven't literally saved any money yet or made any more money yet, but they've been shown a real result that they can now act on. You need an aha moment just like that. Now, this aha moment is not the only thing that'll keep happening like I just mentioned. This is just the initial win that proves value immediately. So create your aha moment. What is the first tangible win that your user is going to face, and how can you make it easy for them to get that win within 120 or 60 seconds of signing up? Once you have that, you can move on to creating your minimum sellable scope. Your minimum sellable scope is going deeper than your core value loop. What is the absolute smallest product within your SaaS someone will pay for. The one action that is actually worth their money. We need to figure this out first before we build everything else like profiles, dashboards, teams, settings, integrations. Everything else comes after. But what is the main thing that is actually worth their money? So what you're going to do is create a side-by-side table just like this. Name one side must have to deliver promise, and one side that's nice to have later. On the left-hand side, you're going to put everything that actually needs to happen for the user to receive that promised result. This can be things like the AI actually generating a thumbnail for them, the AI taking the picture, putting text on it, the AI cutting up a long-form video into multiple shorts, the AI analyzing which of those shorts are actually the most likely to go viral. Everything else would go into nice to have. Again, things like profiles, dashboards, teams, etc. If your must-haves exceed 7 specific items, you are overbuilding. And I mean specific items. So again, if you're building something like Opus, Opus currently has a lot of different offers. As you can see, Opus's main product, the minimum sellable scope, is turning one long-form video into 10 viral clips. This is the thing that they've built their whole business around. But when they were able to expand, they added Agent Opus. They added more things like AI thumbnail generators, editors within the app, AI reframing, team workspaces, exporting to XML, even a social scheduler. All these things they didn't do right off the bat, and you shouldn't either. So find the one thing that you must deliver on to actually get the user their promise. Once you have that, you can move on to your pricing logic. Now we'll get into more pricing strategies later on, but you want to figure out how you're actually going to structure your pricing plans. Is it going to be credits and generations per month, based on exports per month, daily limits? Maybe it's quality tiers like standard versus pro. Speed tiers, if it's an AI platform, you get faster generation times. Whatever it may be, try creating a sentence for each of these to see which would fit your SaaS better. Right? This is for people who blank. By doing this, you're going to notice that a lot of times just a monthly plan isn't always the best option. Sometimes you can incorporate a monthly plan plus credits, or a monthly plan plus daily limits. This way, you're rightfully going to be able to get paid more for the value that you are providing. So once you figured out your pricing, you want to move on to what I like to call spiky positioning. This is the last part of this module, and we're about to wrap up everything we just put together with all the previous modules and this one into one final offer. So what you're going to do is pick your one spike. Is it going to be speed? You deliver your promised result in under 60 seconds. Is it going to be simplicity? You deliver it in just one click. Is it going to be quality? You have better outputs than your competitors. Niche specificity. Maybe there's nothing like this on the market for this niche. Is it a guarantee? Get results in 7 days, or you get a refund guaranteed. Now, although you do want to optimize for as many of these as possible, pick one to start, and ideally pick one that the rest of your competition is not focusing on. So if you are a thumbnail generator, like we discussed in the previous module, the quality sucks. If you are able to deliver a way better quality, you are going to steal so many of your competitors' users. If then, once you've mastered the quality, you can speed up the processing time, you're going to steal even more. But it's important that you start with one. And once again, you can decide on which one would be the best by writing a statement for each of these. This is the fastest AI for XYZ. This is built only for XYZ user. Stop doing XYZ, do this instead. If you are ICP in specific niche, you need this. And pick one that makes a specific person feel kind of attacked, but like in a good way, where they feel called out, they feel this pain, like it takes way too long to generate something. It's way too hard to do something. The quality sucks. Make them feel called out and offer your solution clearly. But now you should have your actual promise, your solution, your offer created. And in the next module, we are going to start turning this solution into a real usable product. Nice. Now we are moving on to the next module, which is building your MVP. Now, I do want to preface this by saying we do not build apps in our agency. We specialize in the marketing, acquisition, and retention of users, but I did decide to put this in the course because I think it's a very valuable lesson. And although I'm not an expert on it, I did learn a thing or two as we've been going through this journey of, well, building our own app and working with other clients. But just like me, you don't need a bunch of experience to build an MVP. Ultimately, it is your minimum viable product just to get an idea of how things are going to work. And in the next module, we're going to hire a developer to fully build out the app. So let's dive into it. Cool. So now that you have an established idea, established market that you are going into, it's time to actually start building your MVP. We're going to be making your MVP with Lovable and Cursor. And don't worry, we will be hiring a developer soon, but just to get an idea of how the whole thing is going to work, we're going to start by using these apps. The thing to note is you have to be very cautious when you are vibe coding. Vibe coding should only be used to make your MVP. You should never publish a vibe coded product. These are just some of the risks that Google shows up when you search for the risks of vibe coding. But the biggest issue is vibe coding is not the most secure thing in the world. There are so many vulnerabilities that can so easily be exploited that it is a huge risk for softwares that deal with a lot of customer data. For us, when we were first building our software, even with a developer, we had someone pen test it, and so many security issues and vulnerabilities came up that we had no clue existed. So with vibe coding, this is even worse. It's so important that you understand you should not be publishing your vibe coded product as your finished result, and you should be very careful with how you actually manage the data inside of it. But nonetheless, vibe coding is one of the best ways to actually build a skeleton, an idea of what your app is supposed to look like. So we are going to be vibe coding the MVP to get proof of concept that this is a real functioning software. And just as a side note, people are getting used to vibe coded front ends and absolutely hate it. We literally got a text the other day saying our dev made software looked a little too vibe coded. So we are working on changing that. But nevertheless, your recommended stack. For your front end, you're going to be using Next.js. For your back end, you're going to be using Supabase. For payments, Stripe. And for deployment, Vercel. As a general overview, we're going to be using Lovable to generate our first working prototype quickly. We're going to connect everything to GitHub so you can continue it in Cursor and use Cursor to basically do the rest of the real coding. Lovable is mostly just going to be there to generate the front end. Cursor is for everything else. So before you get started, make sure you check everything on your setup checklist. Make sure you create a private GitHub repo, create a Lovable project and connect to GitHub, install Cursor, install Node.js and Git, and create accounts on Supabase, Stripe, and Vercel. When you have that ready, you can move on to actually building your MVP. So let's get building. You'll notice your whole MVP build will basically be centered around your minimum sellable scope that we talked about in the last module. We are only looking to include our core loop, the input to output, our aha moment, paywall and plan limitations, your auth, email or Google, preferably use Google, it's just so much simpler, and a save history. So create a statement and write out. The user input is this. The output will be this. Their aha moment is this. The return trigger will be this. The pricing lever will be credits, exports, monthly limits. Write this down so you know exactly what to instruct the AI to do, and we are going to be using this very shortly here. So let's generate the skeleton. The skeleton is basically a very high-level overview of what your app is going to look like. You're going to pull up Lovable for this, and using one prompt that you can copy paste right here, generate the whole skeleton. Again, we are on Lovable just to get this very high level overview of what the app is going to look like. And we are then going to move everything over to Cursor. So build a B2C or B2B SaaS web app called your app name. Include these pages. This is the primary flow that we discussed just a little bit earlier. Create pricing tiers using these pricing levers. Again, change the prices to match what you are going to be selling it for. Create a UI that's minimal, modern, and mobile first, and add placeholders for upgrading and usage remaining. Click through all the pages and make sure that all the navigation, exporting, syncing with GitHub, all the technical stuff is working. Once it does, we're going to move the project over to Cursor to actually build it for real. What you're going to do to achieve this is open the repo folder in Cursor, install the dependencies. In the terminal, run npm install, run the app, run dev, and open it on your local host and make sure that it loads. What we're going to do is set rules for Cursor before we actually code anything. You can change these up a little bit, but these are general rules that we found work the best. Always start with a plan, make changes in small amounts, do not refactor unrelated files. After each change, tell me exactly how to test it. If something breaks, revert or fix before continuing, never put secrets in code, and keep the core loop working at all times. We want to set this as the ground rules because AI does sometimes like to do weird things, and this will hopefully keep it in check. But once you have your project in Cursor, you are going to be using 3 main prompts to actually build out the rest of your MVP. Prompt A is everything for Cursor's personality as your senior engineer. Prompt B is everything to actually implement steps and code things into the app. And prompt C is for fixing errors. You can copy paste these and use them throughout. But what we are going to do is step by step build a simple app. Now, this is going to look completely different for you, but just so you get an idea, in this example, we are building an app that generates a result as the output. If your app doesn't necessarily generate something, you might want to change how the conversation flows, but this is the general thing for creating an output. Step 1, you're going to add Supabase. I'm not going to go through all the instructions because this is going to take a while, but here you can see them and use them for yourself. At the bottom, you can also check that it actually works. Step 2, we're going to build the core loop, again, using Cursor to create the actual generation step. Step 3, we're going to save the outputs and create a show history tab. Step 4, add usage limits with that pricing structure you came up with before. Step 5, actually connect those usage limits and everything to Stripe. And step 6, deploy to GitHub. This way it becomes an actual shareable app and you can start getting beta testers to test things out for you. Make sure throughout the whole process, you are keeping the AI disciplined. Because keep in mind, at the end of the day, this is just one long conversation between you and the AI. I've broken it down into just 6 simple steps, but a lot of it will be you changing how functionalities work, changing the looks of things to your liking. So keep the AI disciplined by constraining it every time to say implement a specific step only, touch only these files, keep changes under 200 lines, and tell me exactly how to test. This way, the AI is not going to be doing anything shady or anything weird that you don't necessarily like. Cursor is such a powerful tool and makes it so easy to build a functioning MVP by just speaking. But by now you should have a fully functioning MVP that delivers a good enough result that you are actually looking for. And in the next module, I'm going to share how to find a developer and actually turn this MVP into a real product. All right, now we're moving on to actually hiring that developer. This is very important and I'll share exactly why in this module, but don't skip this. If you are non-technical, and even if you are technical, it's a good idea to hire an expert to help you fully build this out. This doesn't necessarily have to be a CTO. This could just be a short-term contract dev, but someone who can help you achieve your goals faster and bring this vision to life. So let's dive into it. Now that your MVP is built, you need to turn your project into a real product. And to do that, you are going to need to hire or partner with a developer. To decide on which one you're going to do, you need to decide on whether you are looking for a CTO or a long-term partner, or you're just looking to outsource work temporarily. This will help you determine your execution quality, cost, and commitment. There are 3 main tiers of devs that you can find online. Tier 1 devs are generally found on X, Discord groups, Slack groups. You can find them for searching for things like building in public or open to work on their profiles. You can find them in indie SaaS threads, showing screenshots of their work or giving thoughtful replies or helping others in those forums. These are going to be the best that you can find, especially if you are looking for a CTO or a long-term partner. Tier 2 devs are found on Upwork, Fiverr, and any other online marketplaces. To have a good chance at hiring someone that's good, you want to filter for 1,000+ hours of work, a 90+% success rate, and a time zone that overlaps with yours. Under all circumstances, though, you want to avoid agencies, generic profiles, or people who say they can just create anything you want. In very rare cases will you want to work with an agency, but for 99% of founders at this stage, it is so important that you hire 1 to maximum 3 developers at a time, one of which is your long-term technical co-founder. And last but not least, tier 3 devs. These are not always the best, but you can surprisingly find a good amount of developers on Facebook groups who would be willing to take on equity deals. Just know they will not generally be able to create the most complex things, but if you are tight on money, this might be the place to go. Again, you can find them through a similar searching method as on Discord, Slack, or Twitter by just searching for building in public, startup developers, freelancers, SaaS helpers, coding help, and seeing who is interacting, who is helping who, and the kind of language that they speak really gives away whether or not they know a thing or two. You can also look at different countries to hire from. So obviously, if you have the money, hiring from North America will be the best, especially if you are looking for co-founders or extremely high quality work. They're going to have great communication and ownership mindset, but it will cost a lot more. This is perfect when you already have a good amount of revenue rolling in and you are not necessarily worried about spending money on someone who knows what they're doing. Eastern Europe, specifically countries like Poland, Ukraine, Romania, and Serbia, you will find a strong engineering culture, and they are shockingly reliable. Very reliable, I might add. We've partnered with a few Eastern European developers, and they have been some of the most pleasurable people to work with. Not only is it nearly half the price, but they are very, very open to actually partnering with you long-term to build this business. The only downside, which isn't really a downside, is you're going to have to be the vision for the business. They are generally people who are very product focused. They just develop the thing and that's it. Whereas you're going to have to be the one who pushes that product forward, marketing into the world. As long as you can give them direction, they are more than happy to work with you for a really good deal. This is the best choice for cash-constrained founders. And lastly, you can look into hiring from India and South Asia. This is going to be the cheapest place to get developers from, but this is more so contractor work rather than hiring a co-founder. Now, this is not to say you will never find a co-founder. I actually have worked with a software whose co-founder was originally from India, who then after the project ended up moving to North America. But as a general rule of thumb, hire developers as freelancers or small development teams for contractor work. You will have to do quite a bit of searching to find good quality work as well, because there is such a large supply of developers that you're going to have to manually vet everyone that applies. But we did work with another SaaS who hired a team of 3 for literally $500 a month to build out their entire product, which was incredible. They will need specific instruction, so make sure you come prepared and you review the work once it's done. But now that you know where your budget fits and where you want to find developers from, how do you actually hit them up? Well, the first thing you want to do is create a dev brief. What this basically is a quick summary of what you've made so far, where your vision is with this business, and how they would fit into this vision. You want to avoid saying that we're going to be the next big thing in whatever, or your market size, or a big roadmap. Developers just want specifics to help them make a decision easier. They want clarity and stability, especially if they are going to be working on equity. They want proof that their efforts are not going to be in vain, that they will actually benefit from this. Then on platforms like X, Discord, Slack, you can hit people up with a short message saying, hey, I saw your work on project find something that they've been working on and say, I've built a working MVP for XYZ business, and give a little description of what it is. It's live, users can pay, but I need help stabilizing and extending it. This is paid scoped work, not a vague idea. Would you be open to a quick chat? And then you can send that brief that you made previously. On Upwork or marketplaces or Facebook groups, you can create a simple post just saying, hey, we're looking for a developer to help us create this new product. Here are the requirements. Please include stuff you've worked on in the past, your time zone, and related work. Now, once you get people replying, depending on your current financial situation, you can offer different compensation structures. Your first option being hourly. This is the basic compensation structure that everything works on. We've already gone over the general prices of what things could look like, but make sure to cap their weekly hours and make sure to monitor what they're actually doing so you're not spending money on work not being done. Option 2 is a monthly retainer. Fixed scope of work, fixed monthly retainer, and a set amount of hours per week. This is more predictable and actually gets the work done that needs to be done. You can even pay half upfront, half after the work was completed. Option 3, only if you are aligned, offer equity. The typical range is between 0.25 to 1% for a part-time long-term contributor, or 5 to 15% for a true co-founder. Sometimes you will have to offer 30 to 50% depending on the skills that you bring to the table and how serious of a co-founder this person is going to be. Just make sure if you are giving up that much equity that they are also willing to seriously commit to this business with you and sell equity later on if investors come on, and be able to offer up a part of their equity if it needs to be diluted or whatever you need to do. Just make sure they are in it with you and they are seriously aligned on your vision. As a general rule of thumb to not screw yourself over, you can create a vesting schedule, have clear responsibilities, and equity forfeits if they are inactive. Make sure you as the founder, or the business if you've incorporated or made an LLC, owns all the IP. This is very important so that they don't go and steal your idea. Never give equity for one-off tasks, short engagements, or for just helping out. Make sure that they are committed. Last but not least, a revenue share. This should only be for short-term only projects. This can be 5 to 15% of net revenue, time boxed for a specific amount of months. And this is great for broke founders who don't necessarily want to give up equity because you're not having this developer do insanely hard work, and you don't have to sacrifice spending money on them. And you don't have to pay them out of pocket. But again, make sure you use this for short-term only. This is not good for long-term engagement. If you have no cash, it's just the fact you're going to have to work heavily with equity. Understand you will need a technical co-founder, especially if you know nothing about code. So you will have to sacrifice a significant part of the business. But you can do it in a smart way. Prove to the dev that it's worth their time to get them on board, because not a lot of devs want to jump on equity right away. Build a fair offer structure, vesting, and run a trial project to make sure that they can actually do the work that they are promising they can do. Give them a real task, not just a practice project that will forward your business. Now look, the hard truth is if you don't want to lose momentum, don't overhire, give equity too early, don't define scope, or don't have a clear long-term vision, and don't hire on hope instead of proof. At the end of the day, as the founder of this business, your job is to build and direct a team of pros as cheaply and safely as possible until revenue can support more. Hiring the right developer, team of developers, or co-founder is going to propel your business forward. So take your time and do it right. All right. Now we move on to traction roadmap. This is going to be walking you through all the necessary stages that you need to go through when you're going from 0 to your first 1,000 users. So let's jump into it. Okay, let's go over your traction roadmap. These are the 5 stages in which you are going to acquire users, and it's very important that you actually go through these phases and not skip any of them, doing each required step at each phase. I'm going to quickly break these phases down and then play a video that dives a little bit deeper into this topic. So let's get into it. The basic breakdown of these phases looks like a pyramid. You start at the top and you make your way down as your user base expands. Like I mentioned, each of these phases has their own specific set of steps. 1 to 10 users, 10 to 50 users, and 50 to 300 users are all going to be done manually by you. At this point, you are going to be manually onboarding new users onto your software, as well as still figuring things out, making sure that your product is suitable for this market. 300 to 1,000 users and 1,000 plus is where you'll begin to automate your business and actually start expanding. But what do each of these steps actually look like? Let's break it down. 0 to 10 users is you just hitting up people in your direct network. You're going to onboard beta testers, either for free, ideally, or for cheap, and make sure that your core offer actually works. You are not trying to make money here. You are just trying to see that your app is working. After you get a bit of validation, you move on to 10 to 50 users. You're going to offer an affiliate commission to the beta testers and begin outreaching yourself. You are still manually onboarding people, and you are not looking to automate yet. You want to offer almost like a VIP concierge service. So you're going to be stacking results and testimonials and making sure that your app doesn't break under pressure. Here at this stage, you're also trying to figure out pricing. And one of the easiest way to do this that we recommend and that we even do, what you're going to do is as you're on this onboarding call with a prospective user, you're first going to offer them a 7 to 14 day free trial so that they are able to test this software out and make sure it's actually a good fit for them. You're then going to ask them how much they would pay for this, but in a very specific way. You're going to say what price would be an absolute no-brainer. You wouldn't even have to think about it to sign up. What would be a bit of a stretch? You'd probably have to think about it, but you would end up signing up. And what would be an absolute no-go? You would never pay this much money for this software. So let me give you an example. Let's say you ask them what would be a no-brainer for this. They say $50. Then you say, okay, what would be a price that you have to think about? They say $100. And then you say, what would be a price that you would never pay for this? And they say $150 and higher. And you say, cool. What you're going to do now is take those first two numbers, $50 and $100, and price their plan in between that. We'll say $75 right in the middle. They've already told you this is a price that they would be willing to pay. But what you're going to say is if you sign up for a year upfront on this call, I will give it to you for $50 or even $40 a month, but they pay in full for the full year. This way you get them to agree to a price before even stating it, and you get a big cash bonus up front, which is so crucial for new softwares. You then move on to 50 to 300 users. This is where you start creating your own content, using those testimonials that you've been collecting as proof, building a wait list, but you are still manually onboarding people and potentially still running this pricing strategy. Because again, it works so well and you get big cash bonuses up front, which is again, so important for new softwares that are trying to survive. But at this point, you are going to begin the process of automating your business, like creating an onboarding funnel, optimizing your landing page, and actually locking in your pricing by the end of this stage. Here, you want to make sure you have a pre-launch marketing plan set up and you are actually building your wait list. These 3 stages are still private access. So you are really only doing outreach and only letting people in who you want into the software. It is not publicly available yet. But your next stage, 300 to 1,000 users, is your go-to-market plan. Here you actually have your launch campaign with a creator, ads, etc. And I'll talk more about marketing strategies in the next module. You're going to build out your scaling systems, affiliate systems, and marketing campaigns. And after launch, how are you going to grow? Make sure you have a marketing plan set for your continued growth. And especially at this point, since you are now going public, make sure your software can run on its own. And no need for you to do those calls anymore. You have pricing set, you have onboarding set, and you know it works. And lastly, 1,000 users plus. Now that your software is public, focus on heavy expansion, mass ad campaigns, dumping profits to 10x revenue, doubling down on what works, taking over new channels, making sure your SEO is fine and that people are finding you organically, and expanding fast. All marketing should be outsourced, and make sure you are public and people know it. Do not shy away from making yourself known. Your job as the founder is now solely the vision of the company moving forward. Be the visionary and don't be stuck inside the business. Make sure to outsource everything that can be outsourced to experts to continuously keep your software growing. And once again, do not jump stages. Do not automate too early. Each of these steps is extremely necessary for your software to seriously succeed down the line. And without further ado, let me play this quick video, how to get your first 1,000 users fast. All right, class is in session. So if you are just getting into software or you've been in software for a little bit and you're trying to grow your first 1,000 users, and for whatever reason you are just struggling to get there, this is going to give you so much clarity. And a lot of these things you're probably not even doing correctly. I mean, a lot of people want to jump stages, go straight from idea to paid ads marketing, and that's not how you want to do things. If you rush through these stages, you are going to find that your app will crash and burn, even if you have an incredible idea behind it. So everything gets broken down into 5 stages: MVP, early product, initial growth, infrastructure, and expansion. These 5 stages, and going through these stages step by step, is extremely crucial for any software that seriously wants to set itself up for success long-term into the future. We've even made these mistakes before where we just created something and skipped everything in between and jumped straight to intensive advertising and had everything break on us, and it was a complete disaster. So don't make the mistakes that we did. Stick to the plan. Stage 1 is your MVP stage. This is when you have 0 users and you are brand new to the game. You just finished building the absolute bare minimum, the bare bones that barely works of your software. The whole goal of this stage is to just validate that your idea can even be built and that it even functions. You want to confirm that this thing that you are building, people would actually be willing to pay for. If people aren't willing to pay for it, you're just not going to have a successful business. At this stage, once you have the absolute bare bones minimum working thing, you want to find people who are your ideal client avatar, hit them up, and offer free access, or even just straight up ask them if you can't afford to be paying for everything, whether or not they would use this service or not. Get people on sales calls and end it with signing them up for either the MVP for testing or adding them to your waitlist. The whole point here is to get your first 10 yeses. Once you have 10 people saying, yes, this idea is worth investing into, then you can move on to stage 2. Stage 2 is your early product phase. Now that you have a solid amount of people saying that, yes, they would want to invest time, effort, and money into your product, here is where you actually lock in and build out your product. Take their suggestions and implement them with your developer or CTO. It's very important that you actually hire a developer, a CTO, a physical human being, because vibe coding will only get you so far. At one point, we were building a software and even our developer had so many security leaks in the MVP, security problems, that our first ever test run, we had someone try pen testing it and it was broken apart immediately. So don't trust that your vibe coded app is going to be any good. And we're so glad that we were able to find these early on before it was a problem. Focus on delivering undeniable value for your users. If you can afford it, let them use the product for free. Ask them to push it to its limits, break it apart, pen test it, anything, and get that initial data of what people want, what people would be willing to pay for. Here you want to put a heavy focus on completely disregarding all automations and manually onboard people, get them on calls, give them demos, and lead them through your product by yourself. Forget about onboarding processes, forget about tours, literally get on the call and do it yourself. And once they've begun using it and you have a legitimate product, this is when you move on to stage 3. Stage 3 is your initial growth phase. This is where you're starting to get that initial traction and you're getting from about 10 of those initial testers to your first 30 to 50 paying users. Now you have a legitimate product, but you have to prove to the market that this product actually delivers the results you want it to deliver. And you can't run any marketing unless you have that proof. So at this stage, you are gathering that proof. Again, completely disregard all automations and automating your software. You still want to be hopping on calls, manually guiding people through your software, consistently following up with your users on email, on Instagram, on text message, Nag them so much that they are forced to give you every thought, every detail they have about your software. Get those testimonials and publish them on your landing page and start putting them up on your social media. Proof that your thing works for other people is what convinces more people to join. And at this point, because you have a good amount of users, you can figure out exactly how much you should be charging. What would it be worth for people? On those calls, ask them, how much would you pay for this? Generally, especially if your software, like ours, delivers a direct monetary result, you want to be charging between 10 to 20% of how much money it would make your user. Then once you have all that dialed in, you can move on to phase 4. This is finally where you start working on your infrastructure and automating everything. Here you create your automated onboarding funnel, your guided tours, everything else like support, backend, anything that people might need so that you can step away from the business and focus on things like marketing and actually getting people into your software. At this point, it's also very crucial because you're scaling to that first 1, 2, or 300 users that your software doesn't break under pressure. But by the end of this phase, you should have your entire thing automated. You should have a team for everything, AI handling other parts, and you yourself would be able to step back and focus on phase 5, which is expansion. This is the juicy and fun part. Here is where you begin doing all the other stuff I talk on my channel and actually blowing up your software. You start building and optimizing your distribution channels, hiring creators, running paid ads, and doing all the other things, like I said, that will blow up your business. Create partnerships, affiliate deals, and all this other stuff. Hire team managers that can manage your affiliates, manage your partnerships, manage your content. This is crucial because just because you have a great idea does not mean people are going to come. And at some point, you want to give up on manually outreaching to clients. This stage is one of the most crucial, and now that you have some funds, this is the make or break between you scaling just a little bit or you blowing the fuck up. Now, if I had to give one ending note for this whole 5-step strategy, it would be that you need to build something that really drives results. Don't be one of those people that goes online and says, we guarantee XYZ or you don't pay. Literally make it that your software guarantees X result. Literally make it that you are able to make that promise with no concern in your mind that it might not happen. If you build a good product, your marketing will work itself out because it is so obvious for a brand new user that if they give you $10, they'll get $100 back. That is a no-brainer decision that anyone would take. All right, now that you understand the stages and the importance of each stage, let's move on to all our marketing strategies that we actively use within the agency. This is literally our core service and exactly what we do. So let's jump into it. Okay, I am the most excited about this module because in this module, we are talking about marketing and actually blowing your software up, which is the stuff that I am specialized in and the stuff that I absolutely love. So let's jump into it. What we're going to do is we're going to cover all the major marketing strategies like pre-launch, launch, mass content, paid ads, affiliate systems. But there are so many marketing strategies that you can actually use. So I'm only going to cover these ones that are the most prominent in the things that we do, and then play a few videos that dive a little bit deeper into the topics that we talk about. So let's jump right into things with your pre-launch strategy. With your pre-launch strategy, your whole goal is to get people excited and on a wait list. The way you're going to do this, and the way that's working the best right now, is through your founder story. So you as the founder are going to be creating content. It doesn't have to be on your brand account. It can be on your personal account, but you're essentially going to be sharing why you're doing this, how this is different, and how this is going to change people's lives. Like we mentioned before, you are showing the problem. You are not just telling people they have a problem. You are making them aware of this problem that they are facing. You're trying to get people excited and on a wait list. And you want people to see and believe in your vision. A lot of times people will sign up and pay for your stuff just because they like you as a person. So be likable. Share your story, why you're doing this. One of the best apps right now that's doing this really, really well is Kinzo. Kinzo has been sharing a lot of these story format videos sharing that the founders have built and sold a company before for $180 million and how they're doing it again, why they're doing it. They're doing fun skits. And it's very entertaining. It's almost like a reality TV show mixed with education, getting people excited, and they've built up their waitlist like crazy. They're even, at the time of this recording, launching a basically Instagram reality TV show. They are starting a new Instagram account, which is going to be following their interns around and all this fun stuff to market their app in a unique way. They're not just showing how their app benefits people and how it solves these problems that people are facing. It's literally just entertaining to watch. And that top of funnel content blows them up like crazy. As a founder, the easiest thing that you can do is literally just creating a series and saying, this is day one of building an app that does X, Y, Z, and just literally following your life. And people will naturally want to watch you and support your vision. But now that you've actually begun building this waitlist and you've begun your pre-launch marketing, what do you actually do on launch day? Well, on launch, your goal is to basically sell out your entire waitlist and make as much money upfront as possible. And the way you're going to do this, and that we've found works the best, is partner with a large creator that matches your app perfectly. You can get them either on commission or equity or just straight up pay them cash, but name them your co-founder, even though they're just the face of the company, and leverage their loyal niche audience. Someone we've worked with before did this really well. VidAI was a partnership between a developer and this YouTuber named Matt Parr, and they leveraged Matt Parr's audience to make $16,000 their first day of launching. That is how powerful hyping it up to a loyal audience, and his content is all about YouTube automation and content creation. So this app, which was creating viral shorts in seconds using AI, was perfect for his audience. It made total sense. And with him hyping it up for 1, 2, 3 months before launch, made it so successful on day one. Now, you don't have to go to one huge creator. You can find multiple creators with 25 to 50,000 followers instead of 500,000 followers, and it would be a lot cheaper, and they are way more likely to do it on a commission basis rather than asking for a huge sum up front or taking a big chunk of equity. Get creative and find a creator that fits. And this is going to blow up your software on day one. But after launch, what do you do to actually continue growing and maintain that upward trend with your business? Well, there are two main things that kind of go hand in hand, and these two strategies work really well together. The first one is your mass organic content. This I absolutely love. Your goal is to take up as much online real estate as possible so everyone knows your name. What you're going to do is partner with or hire multiple UGC creators and have them create real use case walkthrough videos showing a clear before-after transformation of how their life changes for the better after using your software. By creating mass content, you are going to get millions of views without even trying. Everything is then going to be automated with ManyChat, so they are automatically redirected to what feels like a real conversation and then sold on signing up for your software. Now look at this. If you, let's say, have 10 creators or even just 10 accounts and you just repurpose content, 30 pieces of content on 10 accounts is 300 pieces of content. Even more if you make small edits like change the caption color, change the audio, move clips within the video around. If each of those videos gets 500 views, that's 150,000 views guaranteed. If they get 2,000 views, that's 600,000 views guaranteed. 10,000 views, that's 3 million views guaranteed every single month. And this doesn't include outliers that we consistently see getting 150, 200, 500,000 views. And you can see how much engagement these videos get through the comments. Each of these comments is an interested lead because we end the videos with a CTA saying, comment this word if you're interested in whatever software we're promoting. And ManyChat hits up every single one of these comments. So imagine even 1 or 2% actually going through and signing up. That's a huge amount. This strategy is absolutely killer. And if done right, this often comes out to be way cheaper than paid ads CPM. You can see some estimates here from clients that we've had and what their numbers were looking like. This is such an incredible strategy and works perfectly into our paid ads strategy. But before we get into that, I'm going to play a few videos that will share exactly how we create scripts, exactly what we do with UGC content creators, and how we're able to make this mass content both with actual creators and custom scripts and with a more budget-friendly way that I'll share in the last video. It's very unique, and I think you're going to enjoy. So without further ado, let's get into scaling a SaaS to $10 million using ugly content. You need to stop making content that looks like this. Wait, don't hang up. That was me 8 months ago until I learned about this new app. And instead, start making content that looks like this.
If you skip this video, you'll fail your next exam. Follow so it doesn't happen.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. These videos look like absolute garbage. They look like they've been filmed on a phone by an amateur, and there's no way that they get any views, let alone any signups. But I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Social media, especially Instagram and TikTok, are changing what they actually put out more of. And by the end of this video, I'm gonna reveal exactly how to blow up on social media and scale your app organically. So for those of you that haven't seen my content before, my name is Dimitri and we work with a dozen 7-figure software brands, helping them scale to 8 figures and beyond. And this is a huge problem that we see softwares facing when they first come to us. Now, as you saw in the clip in the beginning, I even created content like this myself. Don't even think about starting YouTube automation in 2025 unless you're using this AI. I thought that the way to keep someone retained was through intense editing, crazy camera setups. And I mean, it worked 2 years ago, but the landscape of social media has shifted. And now people are looking for authenticity rather than professionalism. You see, the thing is, people no longer treat social media the same as TV or Netflix. And as the name suggests, they are there for the social aspect of it. Because the social media is transitioning to a more authentic, real experience rather than what it used to be with huge celebrities or extremely professional photos. This means that the ordinary person tends to get more views than a hyper successful celebrity like Kim Kardashian. The reason being is because those huge celebrities are way out of touch with reality. They're not relatable for the average viewer at all. And so someone who they can see themselves being in their shoes, they trust a lot more. That's why this super professional content doesn't work anymore like it used to. Now, I will put a disclaimer here. I'm not saying this content doesn't work at all. It really depends on what sort of app you have, but even then, let's say you have something for lawyers, even then, you can still have one of your associates pull out their phone, record themselves, and it will likely perform better than your super professional $50,000 ad. So if you're serious about blowing your app with social media, this is exactly how we're doing it to scale our brands to $10 million and beyond. I'm about to lay out the whole strategy, so just copy me word for word and you'll find success with it. First and foremost, you are going to completely ditch the super professional setups and instead hire UGC creators who match your ideal client avatar. For example, we work with an edtech company, so we hired university-aged females as that type of avatar generally resonates better with college students. We made sure they had almost like a nerdy personality and could give off this vibe as if they were actually university students. There are so many platforms where you can find them, but a lot of ours came from Facebook groups labeled UGC Creators for Hire, UGC Creators Canada, UGC Creators America, and just posting a job offer and connecting with people on there. Now, rates for UGC videos will vary drastically depending on how many you need created and how intense of a process it is. But assuming you're going to be the one handling the editing, or you have an editor to handle it, generally rates will range from $20 to $40 a video, assuming you're doing a roughly 30 video batch, enough content for an entire month. We usually hire multiple creators to run multiple accounts, because different creators have different personalities, and especially if it's a new client, we don't know exactly what's going to work right off the bat. We need to spend the first month testing, figuring out, and dialing creators in. The second month and following, we cut off everyone who's not working good enough and keep only the top performing creators. A lot of times we also like to offer these creators an affiliate commission. So even though we're the ones handling the video production, as a way to even get that initial price down, especially if you're just starting out, we offer 15 to 30% recurring for 1 to 3 months of all the sales that they get through their page. On top of this, it even motivates them to create story posts by themselves, create more reels by themselves of just them yapping into their phone. Anything extra helps, especially if we're trying to sell that real life personality that's relatable to the viewer. So once you've found your creators, you need to script your videos. You're going to notice that different people have different personalities, and you want to make sure your scripts match up to their natural personality. If they're a very shy and timid person and you give them a very outgoing script, it's going to seem so unnatural on camera. And vice versa, if they're super outgoing and you're trying to give them a shy and timid role, it's not going to work. That's why before you even begin scripting your videos, you need to create a whole avatar of your person. Break down exactly who is the character that they're playing. What is their mission or goal or purpose of creating this content? Who is going to be viewing this content and what are they looking for throughout it? This is going to help you create real content that people are willing to watch. Types of content that we found work really well are storytime content, direct explainer videos, and anything that directly relates to the ideal avatar of person you are talking to. Calling out their exact struggles, exact goals in life, or even niche topics that only their community of people would know. Once you've gotten the raw footage, you don't need to spend much time editing it. You can even have the creators themselves cut all the clips together, and then you yourself would just add a text title within the TikTok or Instagram app and captions. Sometimes it's very beneficial, like for some of our clients, to give direct walkthroughs of the app. So we'd have our editor screen record and somewhere on the screen put up synchronized screen recordings of exactly what the creator is talking about. This helps us show real life use case scenarios of the app and makes it feel like a recommendation rather than an ad. Remember, our whole goal is to make this look like organic content. And depending on your client and creator avatar, this is going to look drastically different. For some apps that are more professional, you might want to create fake podcast clips. For others, let's say running apps like Strava, you might want people doing real life challenges to show off the app. The whole goal is to stop yapping about the app and making it seem like an obvious ad, and instead get creative and make content that feels organic. And each video should not have a hard CTA like normal ads would. It should be very soft. Almost like a recommendation, like I said, rather than a direct sell. For example, for that edtech company, we created link trees for each of our creators. We included a bunch of resources within these link trees, like a custom calendar on Notion, a custom study guide on Google Docs, and then at the very top of it, included the actual link to the app with a discount code. This way we could end every single one of our videos saying, hit the link in my bio for my best study resources, rather than just telling people to hit the link in my bio to buy my thing. This again makes it seem more like a real person, a real creator, rather than someone just trying to sell this app to you. So if you really want to grow your app on social media in 2026, you need to stop sounding like a creator, like a marketer. Rather, start sounding like a normal person, just sharing details about how this new app would benefit the viewer's life. Okay, now that you understand that, let's move on to a video that's going to reveal all the secrets of social media and exactly how you can leverage it for your own benefit. Social media, content creation, and overall organic social media marketing for your business. And the best part is this video is not specifically for my usual audience, SaaS founders. This is for anyone creating content and trying to market themselves on social media. So no matter who you are, you will find this video valuable. I've broken this video down into 3 main parts, so you can skip 2 different sections below, but I highly recommend you watch the entire video all the way through since all the points stack on each other. Now, the first thing you have to understand about social media is that the algorithm isn't out to get you. Its only goal is to help you get views. But if that's the case, you might be wondering, why am I stuck at 200 views? Well, there are 2 main reasons for this. 1, the algorithm doesn't know who your videos are for, and 2, the algorithm is misrepresenting you, or your content just straight up sucks. Social media divides people into 2 main categories: the consumers and the creators. The consumer is someone who's on social media purely for entertainment. They are there to consume content, post only for their friends and family, and kind of keep this connection online. It's kind of like your aunt or grandma on Facebook. The creator, on the other hand, is someone who uses social media for business purposes. They use it as a tool to leverage eyeballs and build an audience of strangers. And as business owners, our goal is for the algorithm to classify us as creators. The problem is so many business owners, UGC creators, marketers are giving these social media algorithms the wrong signals. That's why they get classified as a consumer when really they want to be classified as a creator. So why might this be happening? Well, there's a few reasons. You treat social media like most consumers do, swiping endlessly. You interact too frequently with your friends and family, and only people you know support you. What I mean by this is although your close friends and family want to support you, their support and them consistently watching your videos and interacting with them is sending these algorithms the wrong signals. This makes the algorithms think that you only care about interacting with and sharing your life with people that you know, not strangers. So how do you fix this? First, stop following yourself on alt accounts. It's important that, especially if you created them from the same email or phone number, that they do not interact with each other. Second, stop allowing your friends, family, and contacts to follow you. You can literally block social medias from recommending your accounts to your contacts, but I highly recommend even going through your friends list and texting them saying, hey, if you see this account, please don't interact with it. It ruins the reach. And third, start interacting only with creators in your niche. This is going to signal that you are more serious about treating social media as a business and start telling social media what type of niche you are actually in. This is going to be very helpful for solving that second problem, which is the algorithm not knowing who your audience actually is. Even if the algorithm recognizes you as a creator, if it shows your content to the wrong audience, obviously they're not going to engage with it, and therefore your content's not going to be pushed out any further. There are three main things you need to do to teach the algorithm who your audience actually is. First, use hashtags with between 50 to 500,000 posts. Limit it to 5 hashtags max and have a good mix in there. 2 hashtags with less posts on them, 2 with the higher end, and 1 in the middle. The second thing you're going to do is go to the search bar and search for a sentence that relates to your video. So let's say you're teaching people how to invest in the stock market. You are literally going to go and type invest in stock market. See what other things people are searching for and use some of those keywords in your description. Both Instagram and TikTok are becoming a lot more SEO heavy, almost like Google. So it is very important for you to be creating keyword-rich descriptions that are as close as possible to the actual search term that people will search for. TikTok Studio also has a very nifty feature where you can see what actual search terms people are searching to get served your video, so that you can best tailor your future descriptions to that. The last thing you're going to do is obviously talk about your topic in as much detail as possible throughout the video so that the algorithms can pick up the captions and understand what it's about, but especially have a CTA for your viewers to comment something related to the video. You'll often see in the comments that blue icon with a blue search term. If you can get that to be perfectly descriptive of your video, that is how you know your video is being pushed out to the right people. And comments help a lot with that. I've created an 11-page document diving deep into the algorithms of Instagram and TikTok and how to optimally leverage them to push your videos out more. And I will leave that as one of the first links in the description. I highly recommend you give it a read. So now that you know what the algorithms actually look for and how to optimize your account to be treated as a creator over a consumer, how do you make content that doesn't suck? Well, everything obviously starts with research. This is not going to be fun, but this is the most crucial step into succeeding, and especially with the scripting technique that I'm going to pair it with, this is a necessary step that you need to take. What you're going to do is you're going to go back to the search and type in the most obvious keyword of your niche. You're going to interact with a few of the videos, maybe 5 to 10, then close the app and reopen it. This is going to work incredibly well with TikTok because as you start scrolling, you'll notice that more and more videos from your specific niche start popping up. Then only interact with videos from your niche. Close and reopen the app again, and you'll notice more and more videos from your niche start filling up your For You page. Create a swipe file of the top 15 to 25 accounts and fill fill it with their top 50 to 100 videos. You're then going to go through the videos and analyze 7 things. Do you see any hook trends? Are they using similar words, similar hook structures, similar hook ideas? Their personality, behaviors, and tone. How are they speaking? How are they presenting themselves on camera? Does it feel like a formal TED Talk presentation, or is it more like a FaceTime call? Look at the comments and any rage bait for those comments that they're putting throughout the video. Look at the CTAs. Is there only one at the end or maybe one in the middle? How do they transition to that CTA? Is it just a pop-up on the screen? Do they speak it? What do they do? What kind of background do they have? Do they have a professional camera or are they just filming on their phone? How do they tease things in the beginning of the video and reveal them later? And even stalk some of their viewers. What are some of the traits of their viewers? Are they younger? Do they really care about specific topics? Do they all talk the same way? Who is their viewer? You're then going to take all this information and create an avatar for yourself, your UGC creators, your marketing team, whoever is going to be the face of your content. Now I'm going to show you one example of a creator we did for a client. This was a UGC creator for a mass content campaign that we did. And here's how we went through the entire process of building their personality, understanding who their viewers are going to be, and how we can tailor the content to serve those viewers and get them interested as best as we could. So obviously I'm going to block out the name of the creator, but we started with thinking, okay, what is their natural personality like? This creator was a lot more calm, reserved. She was fun with the right people and had energy if she was in a group of people that she really liked and felt comfortable with. She gave off older sister vibes. She was very caring. So because of that, we decided that the style that would best fit her would be having her act like the big sister you always wish you had, sharing everything there is to know about university and the life ahead. This was for a study app. She delivers this in a very caring but straightforward way because she cares about your success and doesn't want you to make the same mistakes that she did. She's going to stop at nothing to see you grow and be successful academically, and everything is coming from a caring place. She is very proud of the viewer. Then we thought, okay, who is the viewer that's going to watch this kind of stuff? Well, the viewer looks like this. They're going into university or are early into their university career. They really want someone to hold their hand, share old stories, and want to feel like someone actually cares about their success. Probably an only child or someone who had an older sibling that didn't really care about them. They don't want to embarrass themselves, especially in the first few days. They don't want to feel like a failure and want someone to treat them like a sibling, give them proven tips based on stories they share about why these tips work, and guide them through step by step going into this new university life. Then working from that, we thought, okay, what kind of content would this viewer actually watch? An intimate and caring FaceTime call, sharing old stories, why things happened and worked, why some things didn't, what lessons she learned, what direct next steps the viewer needs to take to achieve their goals, calming lo-fi music as good background music. We then built our scripts off of this idea. Each script included one Instagram hook and one TikTok hook. The reason for this is Instagram pushes your content a lot more to people who already know you, like your followers or people in your niche. Because of this, your Instagram hook needs to focus a lot more on connection building. TikTok, on the other hand, pushes your video out as broadly as possible, still within your niche, but to as many people as possible. Because of this, this hook is more like your traditional hook where you're just trying to grab people's attention. The rest of the video is pretty straightforward. It entices the viewer in the beginning, promising something at the end, leads them through this story, gives them that dopamine hit of what it actually is, and leads to a CTA of commenting for our ManyChat automation to go off. Now, you could redo the entire video to fit Instagram and TikTok separately, but what we usually do is just change up the hooks and then keep the body the same. That usually seems to work the best. Now, especially this early on, your main focus should be quantity over quality. At this moment, you don't know what works and what doesn't, what kind of unique edge you might have, what you might be doing better than the competition. So instead of focusing on hiring an editor right away, create valuable content that your viewers will find interesting. This might not always mean creating the most informative content. Sometimes in the right niches, it might mean creating the most entertaining content. You need to really study your audience to understand what they value and what they're looking for, and then fit the personality of the creator to that audience. For example, in one niche, we had two creators creating completely different videos. One was creating that more sister-like educational content, while the other was creating extremely fast-paced, fun, motivational content. That content had no speaking. It was just trending motivational audios with the software dropped in throughout the video as a low-key ad. If you had to take away anything from this video, is that you need to first make sure that social media sees you as a creator, and second, that you create content that your audience values. You do this by working backwards through the whole thing. Understand who is creating your content. Understand who wants to watch that type of content. How you can then tailor that content to the audience. And then how you can make sure social media sees you as a creator rather than a consumer. Okay, and last but not least, how you're going to go viral with mass content without spending tens of thousands of dollars on custom scripts and creators. Okay, so take a look at this. In this video, we're going to be going over two main platforms. The first one is called UGC Humans, and the second one is called Dan's UGC Models. Now, I'm sure you've seen this sort of video going viral on Instagram and TikTok, and these are perfect for any sort of apps or softwares. These are called reaction style content. Essentially, it's a clip of someone reacting and then showing off some sort of app. All the actual communication, all the speaking of the video is done through text. As you can see, Dan's UGC Models, you can order custom videos. They will create the entire thing for you, but it can still be a little bit expensive if you're going for that mass-produced thing. Although $8 a video is not huge, if you are a brand new software and you want to create 100 pieces of content, suddenly that's $800. So what do you do instead? You go and take a look at UGCHumans.com. UGC Humans is a marketplace full of a bunch of these reactions already filmed for you. Just doing a quick UGC search, there are hundreds of other UGC marketplaces with already pre-made content. Our whole goal here is to find a bunch of reactions that we saw from Dan's UGC, such as this girl, for example, and then hire an editor for $2 a video, or even do it yourself with CapCut's AI, stitch the video of this creator and then your own phone footage, just filming your screen, and add some captions and you're done. This can be mass-produced content quickly, and it still keeps that human touch. Now, there are a few things you want to look into when you're filming your side of the content. You want to make sure that the lighting of your video, so when you're filming your screen, matches with the lighting of the creator. You also want to make sure that the device and the context of the footage matches as well. So if we're getting a reaction like this girl, but then you're filming a laptop, it doesn't really make sense. For her, since she's sitting in a car, you need to have you filming your phone and be in a car with similar dark-ish lighting. You can find more viral formats by simply going to the viral formats up here at the top and scrolling through a few different variations or samples of what you can create. This style of content is blowing up right now, and I just wanted to make a really quick video showing this off because I think it's absolutely incredible, and it takes the thing that we're doing really well, and essentially packages it for someone who is just starting out. Now, this won't get you all the way. This will get you a good start. And when you can, you want to hire individual creators and a media team so that you can actually mass produce custom content that is guaranteed to convert. But if you're looking for online presence, proof of concept for potential investors, or an initial mass marketing push, this is the best way for you to create your content. All right. So by the end of this, you should be able to go incredibly viral, amassing millions of views every single month. So everyone knows who you are. And with ManyChat, you should already be closing a good amount of users. But to amplify this even more, we're going to move on to our paid ads strategy. Your goal with this is to retarget your warm audience who already know who you are and give them an irresistible offer. And because they already know who you are, they've seen you multiple times, but they just need that little push with a free trial or custom offer. This is what those ads are going to do, and they're going to result in an incredibly cheap CPA. So now that you have an already huge warm audience from your mass organic content, you're going to retarget that exact audience with paid ads. Because they already know you, all you need to do is give them a small push for them to sign up. This ad will be that small push. And in this video that I'm about to play, I'm going to show you exactly how to set up these ads to get you those results. As we all know, you have a good ROAS if you are able to acquire a customer for under 3 to 6 months of their recurring revenue. But as founders, we obviously want to be profitable from the first or second month. And the ad strategy that we're going to be covering in this video is the exact thing that's going to help you get there. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Now, before we begin, this strategy does require you to have a solid content base to start with. I mean, the whole premise of this is we're going to be running a special kind of ad to be retargeting our current viewers, our current ICP. And because we're not targeting a cold audience, we're going to be able to get leads for so much cheaper than any of our competition. But for us to be able to achieve this, we need people to already know who we are. And the only way to do this without paying thousands of dollars to Mark Zuckerberg is through our organic content. Now, I have more videos on my YouTube channel and on my Instagram that I'll link below that go over how to build a solid content strategy for your SaaS. I am also planning on making videos to show you exactly what sort of content to be making, how to structure your videos, both short, long form, and paid ads. So if you want to see that, let me know in the comments below. But now, assuming you have already built 1, 2, or even 3 months worth of content on Instagram, this is how you're going to be getting cheap leads through Facebook ads. But first, you have to decide on what sort of ad creatives to actually be running. The simplest thing you could do is just take your top performing piece of organic content and run it as a paid ad, assuming you're already using ManyChat and seeing some sort of results with it. And like I said, I will be making a separate video on actual creatives to be making, but some of the top performing ad creatives we've seen are podcast ads, walkthrough ads, reaction ads, and motion design ads. These are going to be the ones carrying your ad portfolio. Again, if you'd like a tutorial on how to actually create each individual type of these sort of ad creatives, let me know in the comments below. But once you have your ad creatives and you know what you are going to be running as an ad, you can jump into the Facebook Ads Manager. Here, I've got a fresh account linked to just my Instagram, but you would obviously link this to your company account. Now, if you are making personal founder content, especially if you're a B2C company, it would be great to link it to your personal founder account, not your business one. We found that sometimes has a higher conversion rate, especially if you are the one in the videos. But the first thing you want to do is head over to the left-hand side and click Audiences. All we're simply going to be doing here is setting up a lookalike audience to the people who have engaged with your Instagram account, your ICP, in the last 180 or 360 days. If you have a new account and you just started growing fast, set it to 180. If you have an established brand and you've already been posting content for about a year, set it to 360. Our whole goal is to target people who look exactly like our ideal customer persona. We are not targeting anyone who has not seen us before. We are only targeting people who have already engaged with our content. This way, they're not being introduced to us for the first time. They already know who we are, they have an idea, or at least have heard our name before. This is how we're able to get extremely cheap customers. Once you have that set up, head back over to your campaigns tab and create a new campaign. Now, depending on your offer, whether you have a free trial or not, you're going to want to select either sales or traffic as your campaign objective. If you have a higher B2B SaaS company, you might want to look into selecting leads if your whole goal is for them to book a call with you instead of directly sign up. I'm going to hit sales for this one and hit continue. Name your campaign with whatever naming conventions you have and scroll down to campaign budget. The absolute minimum you should be spending is $50 a day. If you can't afford that, you should not be running ads at the moment. Ideally, you are spending closer to $100 to $250 a day. I'm going to set it to 100. Especially in the first week, this gives Meta enough time to collect data and enough budget to actually process that data. If you are running multiple ad sets, you might want to consider switching this down to the ad set budget level because, again, we want to be spending at least $50 a day on each individual ad set. But because we're only setting one up today, I'm going to keep it at the campaign level. In the ad set, you're then going to scroll down to Audience and select the audience you just created. Then hit Next. Make sure your ads are being posted on the proper page and they're being sent to a custom URL. This URL should not be the main landing page for your software. This should be a custom URL with a custom offer specifically made for people who click on these sort of ads. If you want a video on custom landing page and offer strategies, let me know in the comments below. And that's about it. All the other things you can tweak yourself to optimize it for your specific software and your specific audience. Pairing these sort of ads with some sort of trial is such an incredible way to get new users for extremely cheap. Something we found works really, really well for our B2C clients is a simple 3-day trial and a super simple landing page. I'm talking literally a 1-line header, a simple sign-up form, and just a few case studies or testimonials. The simpler it is, the higher it converts because people already know who you are. They've seen your content and they're comfortable with you already. There's no need to convince them further. They just needed a little push with a simple targeted ad offering them some sort of trial to get them over the edge. Nice. Now you know our entire content paid ad strategy that we are using to generate millions of dollars every single month for SaaS businesses. But before we move on to setting up an affiliate system, I want to show you 2 apps that are going to help you amplify your content. The first one is Verlo. Verlo is going to help you find the best trending content in your niche to help you get ideas and actually convert more followers and even paying users. This is such an incredible tool, especially for that mass organic content if you're thinking of ways to go viral even more, or if you've just completely run out of ideas and don't know what to do. The second one is Foreplay. This is an ad spying tool that's even better than the Facebook ads library. Similar to Verlo, but specifically for paid ads. You're going to find winning ads that are currently performing really, really well for other brands in your niche, get their statistics, and help you come up with similar ads. These 2 apps are absolute game changers. You need to check them out. But moving on to the affiliate system. Every great software has a good affiliate system. Our goal is for every 1 user that comes on to have them bring 2 more on. So it's almost like for every 1, we get 3. And look, just being completely honest, MLMs work, all right? And our goal is to kind of build an MLM that's not as manipulative. And we're going to achieve this by 1, building a community where users feel like they are at home, and 2, give them a really good offer and incentive to bring their friends on. So while everyone else is just offering 15% for the first month, you're going to offer 30% recurring for 3 months, or as much as you can afford. Generally, our margins as SaaS founders are really, really high, and that's a blessing because we can leverage all that extra capital into our affiliate or marketing systems. Let them do the marketing for you. This can be more mass content, just referrals, whatever it may be. When Cluely was originally blowing up, they had a huge UGC affiliate system where people would get paid good money to create content on their behalf. Andrew Tate did the same thing. We even did the same thing with an old Discord that we ran called Business Cord. It became one of the biggest business Discord servers, amassing over $1.2 million in the first 2 years before it was sold. So communities are absolutely necessary for your software. You can create a Discord server, Slack channel, Facebook group, or an Instagram channel, but that's not necessarily the best because we want users to interact, whereas this would be for announcements only. Might be better for B2B, but not recommended. One of the easiest platforms that you can set up for this is Rewardful, and we recommend it for every single one of our clients. It just makes things so much easier. Affiliates get their own custom landing pages automatically created, and it's just such an incredible tool. They handle all the payment stuff for you. You don't have to do anything. And their pricing is a complete steal. So make sure to check it out. Other than that, with this, you should have an automated marketing system that is consistently bringing you new users. All right, now that you know all the marketing strategies, how are you going to take your SaaS to the market? In this module, we are talking about exactly that. Okay, so we've just talked about a bunch of marketing strategies and you know exactly how to grow your app, but I'm going to share a little bit more in depth because there are a few more steps to actually take your SaaS public, go to market with your SaaS. And all of that begins with your organic reach. For your organic reach, you want to basically make your software findable. Just because you make something doesn't mean people are going to find it automatically, and especially doesn't mean they're going to understand it automatically. So here, the first thing you want to do is create a pilot or launch video. This is essentially going to be an exciting visual demonstration of the value your SaaS or app provides, and preferably make this in a motion design style. This way, you are removing yourself from it, making it a sellable asset. You can have supporting videos with you as the founder in it explaining things, but your main video that's going to go in the hero section of your landing page, your pilot video for all your marketing, should be without you, just showing off the software. And keep in mind to do no acting. Don't do what Cluely did, where Roy was sitting across the table from a girl and essentially just showing off the app. Although it is playful and fun, this is not the video we are creating here. We want to keep this a little more professional. And one of the best agencies that I know that does this is Zelios. Now, these guys are absolutely incredible. They make such high quality motion design videos for SaaS businesses, and it's just overall so good. It does come at a premium cost though, so it might not be the best option for you right now. So you can hit up other editors on Fiverr, Upwork, Facebook to see if they can make something similar. But if you do have the budget, these guys are my go-to. You're then obviously going to want to partner with a creator, like I mentioned in the past module. If you have no cash, you want to look for someone with between 25 to 50,000 followers and maybe try to stack a few creators on your team. And if you do have available cash, look for someone with 150,000 plus. Ideally, even look for creators with 500,000 to 1 million followers. You're going to set up the plan like this. You're going to have them create one post and obviously pay them for it, and set a KPI of a certain amount of views. If they hit this, you enroll them into your affiliate program, which again, we mentioned in the previous marketing module, will be 30% for 3 months, and have them repeat this cycle on their own. As long as they are hitting KPIs, they are getting incredible bonuses. And this is going to motivate them to keep posting without you having to continuously pay out of pocket for new posts. You're then going to want to make sure your SaaS is searchable. People need to be finding you themselves. So make sure you are easily found on search engines. You can do this by optimizing your SEO, running search engine ads on Google, or looking into alternatives like Bing or Yahoo, which often get the same results for half the price, and optimizing your business profile. And last but not least, make sure your marketing is actually dialed in. Because we are trying to take up as much online real estate as possible, follow everything I mentioned in the previous module with your mass content, retargeting, and literally you will own your niche online. When people think of this niche, they will be thinking about you. Once you have that top of funnel layer locked in, you move on to your middle of funnel, which is all your onboarding. This starts with your landing page and offer. Your landing page should be built in a very specific way. I ripped this image that I'm just going to scroll through, but you can pause the video and see exactly what goes into a high quality, high converting landing page. All of these features are very necessary, and if built like mentioned, you are going to succeed so much more than just winging it on Framer. Your actual offer should be built in a unique way as well. Up front, you offer a 3-day trial, and depending on your software, you might even go up to 7 to 14 days. That automatically converts to your normal plan. If they want to cancel, offer 30% off the first month, and if they still want to cancel, offer an even bigger incentive of 50% off for 3 months. Because your margins are so high, you can afford to do this. Maybe even give them an additional free month. Opus Clips does this, and it keeps their users retained. On top of that, upon signing up, create a walkthrough video. This, you as the founder are actually going to be on camera now and essentially walk them through the entire thing. Upon sign up, this full walkthrough automatically plays, and it essentially welcomes the user and gives them a visual tour. You also get the chance to share who you are as a founder and why they are making a great decision by signing up. This video might last 5 to 10 minutes, maybe a little bit more, depending on how complex your SaaS is, but it should always be skippable. Don't force your users to watch this video. Although it's helpful, it can be frustrating at times, especially because we're trying to get them to get to their aha moment, get their first win as soon as possible. And this is just going to delay that process. Speaking of that, you want to implement a product tour. This is non-skippable. Though they can skip the video, this will happen right after that video, and this cannot be skipped. This is essentially an interactive guide or walkthrough to get them to their aha moment as soon as possible. You can easily set this up with Intercom. Included in Intercom's suite, they have product tours, which literally you can just in a few clicks set up to help your users go from knowing nothing to getting their first win within 30 to 60 seconds. It's incredibly helpful, and I'm going to be mentioning Intercom more throughout this course, so just sign up. It'll save you time in the long run. And last but not least, in your go-to-market strategy, you need to make sure your retention and support is on point. Like I briefly mentioned before, make sure you have an actual downsell offer. So if your user tries to cancel, you offer them X% off. And if they still want to cancel, offer more stuff for free. We really want to put a focus on retaining users and recovering potentially lost users, because it is way more expensive to acquire a new user than to retain a current one. Again, our margins as SaaS founders are really, really high, and we can afford to do this, whereas most other businesses can't. We are very lucky in this regard. So we're going to manipulate this fact as much as possible. You're then going to want to make sure you have 24/7 customer support set up. And I know what you might be thinking. That's probably really expensive. But with Intercom's Fin AI, the #1 agent for all customer service, also included in their suite, it is way cheaper than having real people. It runs 24/7. It answers all inquiries when its confidence is above 80% or whatever you set it to. And it is going to be your first step to full automation, which we will talk about more in the next module. Customer support, if you can nail this, is going to transform your business and how your customers see you. So by implementing Fin AI, you are going to be way ahead of your competition that literally takes days to reply. And on top of that, their pricing is an absolute steal at only 99 cents per resolution, not per text, but per resolution, fixed problem. So make sure you have Fin AI installed and trained on your custom SaaS. And last but not least, you need a plan to actually recover potentially churning users. Mentic is a new app that I've gotten early access to that helps SaaS businesses analyze their users, give them a risk rating or health report, and then gives you and even implements next steps for you to recover them. It's able to detect churn before it happens based on signals it's been trained on. What they do is they map your product, automatically identify every feature, button, and page in your app, monitor how every single user interacts, and then analyze their adoption depth, users who are slipping away, features that drive retention, and actions that trigger upgrades. Again, Mentic is private access only right now, and I have an early account, but if you tell them that I sent you, they will get you access. There's so many features like retention cohorts, churn awareness, your user health tracking, feature tracking, session replays, churn by channel, growth playbooks, the specific things that after it analyzes your users, it tells you what you can do to recover them. This is a must-have app for SaaS businesses at all levels, and you can only grow so far without churn ruining your revenue. If you're growing at 1,000 users a day, but you're also losing 1,000 users a day, you're going to be stagnant, and you're going to end up spending more money on ads or wherever else that you could so easily avoid by just knowing where that hole in your business is. So by the end of this module, you should have an exact idea on how to actually take your business to the market. All right, now we are going to start automating things and slowly removing yourself from being so deep within the business. Right now, you're at that stage of about 300 to 1,000 plus users, and we are going to start by automating all the apps, systems, workflows, and backend of your SaaS. Okay, now as your business starts growing, you're going to need to start automating things and removing yourself from being so deep within the business. In this module, we're talking about all the software and backend automations. And in the next module, we're going to talk about all the team and hiring automations. But for your actual SaaS, you're going to have 7 core automation pillars. The first one being user state and lifecycle enforcement. As you're scaling, users are going through a whole lot of actions. Some are upgrading, some are failing payments, some are churning, some are trying to abuse the system, and you cannot manually keep tracking and fixing these. Make sure you have your users tagged properly and that there's only one tag per user. You have your free, trial, active, paid, past due, canceled, and banned. If their core state isn't tracked, all other automations are going to fail. So implement Stripe webhooks, having a single source of truth on every request, read the user state, enforce capabilities, auto downgrade on payment failure and cancellation, and auto upgrade on successful checkouts. Once you have this implemented, you can move on to the rest. Your billing and revenue integrity. You want to implement that on payment failure, there's an immediate state change. Stripe handles most of your retry logic, but make sure you have some backend stuff like a grace period. A grace period, for example, of 3 to 7 days, just notifying the user that, hey, we're still going to give you access, but we need you to manually redo the payment. If they don't do it, lock usage after that grace period expires. And make sure to send out email confirmations or just updates so that your users stay informed and can actually perform actions that you ask them to. Then there's your usage and abuse protection. At 1,000 plus users, 5 to 10% of them are gonna try to abuse limits. 1% can spike your costs massively. And at this point, AI and API costs are gonna get real. So you wanna implement hard server-side usage caps, per user rate limiting, per IP or per account throttling, and automatic downgrade or blocking on abuse. If you don't think this is a big deal and you don't implement it, you are gonna be shocked at your AI credit and API bill next month. Then your error handling and incident awareness. You want to implement that on error spike, you get an alert. On webhook failures, you get alerts. Background job failure, you get alerts. And API timeouts, you get alerts. One of the best ways to do this and the simplest way to do this is through Sentry. Sentry is known and used by everyone to get reports. It's a fact that stuff breaks, but with their automatic monitoring, you're going to be able to stay ahead of the curve and keep your users happy. Then you're going to want to automate your support and triage. Make sure you have an AI 24/7 support agent trained on your specifics that can handle 80 to 90% of inquiries on its own. I mentioned in the previous module, but we use FinAI. It is the best customer service agent, and you need to have this implemented if you seriously want to scale your business long term. Then move on to your user analytics and alerts. Make sure you have user tracking systems, user recovery workflows, and risk alerts. Again, mentioned it in the previous module, but we use Mentic. Highly recommend it, especially because there is nothing like this on the market right now. This is going to help you so much. And last but not least, your founder dashboards and reporting. Make sure you have a centralized dashboard where you can see all your users' info in one place. Make sure you're able to even access individual user accounts with active tracking of their activities, and start building out SOPs so that you can actually make your business sellable. We'll again talk about this in a future module. These 7 are the core automation pillars that you need to implement if you seriously want your business to thrive long term. All right, nice. So now that you've automated all your systems, processes, and backend, you are going to start automating your team, expanding who you have on board. It's very important to hire specific people and teams for specific roles, and that's exactly what we're talking about. So let's jump into it. Okay, team expansion, another important module that you need to make sure you get right. So up until 1,000 users, or between $50,000 to $100,000 a month, you can mostly handle everything yourself, plus a small team of maybe your co-founder and your developer. But at this stage, if you don't expand, you will stop growing. We have talked to so many software companies that are struggling to get past this point because they are trying to stay as lean as possible when this is the most crucial point in their business to expand. So there is a very specific hiring order that you need to hire people in. Your first hire should be a customer support / ops manager. Second hire, your product engineer. Third hire, a growth partner. Fourth hire, a product designer. And fifth hire, any specialists. We actually just partnered with another SaaS founder who was able to get to $100,000 a month himself, plus his co-founder and developer, but he couldn't scale any further because they were spending all their money on one marketing channel and didn't have the manpower and additional resources to be able to take on more channels. So it's very important that you actually do outsource these roles. But I do want to note, once you've outsourced something, let that person or that team do the work. Let them own 100% of it and don't nitpick or be nosy. Just hire correctly, direct them well, and you will scale. So let's get into when to hire and what they are responsible for. First and foremost, your customer support and ops manager. This is your non-negotiable first hire. Their responsibility will be user support, billing issues, account status questions, basic quality assurance, updating help docs and FAQs, and making sure the team is actually collaborating and things are running smoothly. Realistically, this could be you or your co-founder, but your ops manager should not touch any product decisions, roadmap, or engineering. When hiring, you should look for strong written English, calm, detail-oriented, logical thinkers who can perform under pressure. They're comfortable with a wide array of tools. They don't need to be technical, but it's a bonus if they understand a thing or two, and knows what makes a business operate smoothly. They should not come into this with the mindset of a developer or a visionary. They need to come into it with a business mindset, optimizing everything and making sure things run smoothly. Next, your product engineer. This is not a CTO, this is an execution-focused developer. Their responsibility will be fixing bugs, shipping scoped features, improving performance, and maintaining existing architecture. They are not touching most of the stuff that your CTO is doing, like redesigning the system, making product strategy decisions, or introducing new frameworks. Realistically, this person should be scouted by your CTO, but some things you can verify before fully hiring them are they are comfortable working in existing code bases, experience with production apps, and they are pragmatic. Next up is your growth partner. This is going to be someone who's handling all your acquisition and strategy. Their responsibility is going to be handling all marketing and marketing teams, improving activation, funnel strategy, churn reduction, and experimenting and bringing new ideas to the table. They are not touching product decisions, brand vision, or backend systems. What you want to look for is someone who has knowledge of the market. They make data-driven decisions. They have proof of concept of their strategies. They don't just jump into things without thinking about it. Experience in a wide range of channels, clear understanding of the business from your shoes, from your point of view and where you want it to go, and can turn your vision into a reality. Extract the thoughts that you have and bring them to life. Next, you're going to hire a product designer. This is going to be contract or part-time work only. Their responsibility is going to be onboarding UX, landing page CRO, core flow clarity, and visual polish. Literally just making your product look good for the user. They are not going to touch your product direction, trying experiments, or managing growth. And last but not least, your specialists. These are going to be short-term, as needed. Some examples are going to be a security auditor, accountant, lawyer, specialized engineer, all again on short-term as needed basis only. You're going to have them do one clear scope of work on a fixed timeline for a fixed price. For example, filing your taxes. Hiring the right people and teams will help you break out of that 50 to 100K a month bottleneck and help you scale to $10 million ARR. And last but not least, we are talking about becoming sellable. This is ultimately what we are here for and how you are going to turn your SaaS from just a lifestyle business to an asset that other people are interested in buying. So without further ado, let's jump into the final module, becoming sellable. All right, final module and why we are all here. Becoming sellable. To become a sellable SaaS, you need to remove the dependency for the founder to be so deep in the business. You need to increase predictability and build a moat that survives competition. You also want to maximize optionality, so you have choices for yourself or anyone who buys you out to take different paths with the business. Maybe sell it, maybe get private equity involved, or maybe just hold on. So let's jump right into it with removing yourself. Note that you are not literally deleting yourself from the business, but you're making it so your business can run without depending on you and making it easy for anyone to come in and do your job immediately. You must not be required for anything to do with sales, support, developments, or ops decisions. So what you're going to do to achieve this is remove yourself from the support inbox, remove yourself from billing issues, remove yourself from feature shipping, and move all decisions to SOPs, automations, team, and dashboard. Again, we want to make it as easy as possible for anyone to come in and take over your job. So create SOPs for every single manual action or decision you've been making so far. The goal is if you essentially vanished for 30 days, your business could keep on running without you and not take a hit to revenue. Once you've systemized all the actions you've been taking, you can move on to revenue predictability. Buyers are looking for clean MRR, low churn, strong retention, clear expansion paths, and clean books, or a clear flow of money through the business. If the flow of money isn't clear, investors and buyers won't be certain. We were recently on a call where we connected one of our clients to one of our investors, and he didn't keep his books very clean. Even with his pitch deck, the investor was very confused and wasn't very certain. It made him a bit nervous because he couldn't tell how money was flowing through the business. So it's very important that you keep it clean. What you're going to do is tighten your subscription logic, eliminate custom pricing, normalize plans and rules for enterprise clients, improve net revenue retention and cohort stability, and track absolutely everything. Now, just as a quick side note, when I say remove custom pricing and set rules for enterprise clients, what I mean is your enterprise clients will naturally have much larger plans, but this should all be predetermined and not you figuring this out in the moment. Once you've got that, you can move on to your moat. Real SaaS moats go beyond just features. So some examples are habit formation, switching costs, data advantage, ecosystem, or brand authority in a niche. Your whole goal is to identify what users lose if they leave. Is it data, history, workflows, identity? Think back to the original problem or pain that you were solving. And how can you magnify that pain of the original problem if they do choose to leave? A really good example is Shockbyte. Shockbyte is a platform that lets you host your own video game servers for Minecraft, Rust, and various other games. One of the major things that they do is if you cancel your plan, they automatically delete all your server files. They don't wait 30 days like most other platforms, they delete them then and there. This is to keep storage costs down or whatever it is. They do give you the option to back up your files, but you have to go do that manually. Download them, save them to your drive, your computer, whatever it may be. They don't let you keep them on their platform. Then reinstating the server and setting everything back again is just a little bit of a headache that people would rather keep paying than delete everything. You can achieve a similar result in 3 different modes: your data, distribution, or positioning. For data, you're looking to capture usage patterns, outcomes, and preferences, and you can use that data to improve defaults, personalize experiences, and optimize results automatically. If you track enough data, sometimes companies will buy you out purely for the data you hold on your users. Your distribution. If you own enough of a market, people will pay you just for how much of the market you own. So with our earlier strategies, if you are capturing people on SEO, content, partnerships, virality, you're reducing dependency on one ad account, one platform, or one influencer. And you own so much online real estate that it becomes its own sellable asset. Lastly, your positioning. Define a category narrowly, own a specific job to be done, and be the default known by one audience. So go from saying, we help people do whatever, to if you are in this niche, this is what you use. Become the default people go to. As you do this, you want to make sure you have clean operations, because not only should your books be clean, how your business functions should be too. Again, someone new should be able to come in, understand how your business works immediately. So what you need to keep clean is your code-based ownership, IP, third-party dependencies, financial reports, and metrics definitions. Make sure everything is owned by the company, not by an individual. not even by you. You want to document everything from architecture, critical systems, and key workflows, and centralize credentials, contracts, and licenses. Your team needs to also be a non-risk because buyers discount risks, and people risk is very expensive. Make sure there is no single point of failure employee and knowledge redundancy. So you have contracts in place for everything, incentives, and clear roles and responsibilities for everyone, so there's no overlap or confusion. Last but not least, you want to build optionality. So structure the company to allow for acquisition, private equity investment, and minority liquidity, and avoid decisions that trap you in complexity or limit your buyer pool. The simpler and cleaner things are, the more sellable your business becomes. So to finish things off, ask yourself, can this business run without me? Is revenue predictable? Is churn explainable and defensible? Is the product hard to replace? Is growth repeatable? And is everything documented and clean? And with this, you will now have a $10 million sellable SaaS. And that's about it. This was the full $0 to $10 million SaaS course. Like I said, this took me 18 days to prepare, and I really hope you found this valuable. My goal is for anyone who's been struggling to create a SaaS to be able to get to $50,000 to $100,000 a month with this course. And for anyone that is there to have clarity on next steps. So if you are at that point, you're at $50,000 to $100,000 a month and you're stuck. You can't keep scaling because you just don't have the infrastructure or teams to go further. I want to invite you to hit the link below and fill out a quick form to see if you'd qualify to work with my agency. We'd help you by bringing that structure into your business, bringing in these winning systems so you can step out of your business and stop working 24/7 and let experts actually handle your marketing and your growth. If that sounds interesting, hit the link below, fill out the quick form, and see if you qualify. Otherwise, if you want more unique strategies to scale your SaaS or app, you can check out my Instagram below as well. I hope you found this video valuable, and if you have any more questions, you can text me on Instagram. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.